Atlanta's had 7 black mayors. Every single one has been D9.
Mm.
Maynard Jackson was an alpha. Andrew Young was an alpha. Bill Campbell was a Q. Shirley Franklin was an AKA. Kasim Reed was a Kappa. Keisha Lance Bottoms was a Delta, and Andre is a Nuke. So one, it begs the question: do you have to be D9 to be the mayor of Atlanta, which is of course a huge, like, position of power?
Or not even just that. Do you have to be in any of these elite black organizations to
you kind of have to
achieve certain levels of leadership? Because when I think about it, literally everybody who has, except for Obama, he's the only one. He's not, before his election, he was not attached to anything.
Well,
historically, like
not mainstream, but there is certain
the
things.
Boule.
Not even that, but Boule is kind of like the precursor to the D9. But yeah, I think his stepfather was somebody. I think he had some correlation to the Bushes.
white dude. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm talking about as far as black.
Yeah, but that's even more direct tie.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a certain as what we say in sort of socialist political theory, what's called the petite bourgeoisie. It's kind of like that class right below capitalists, which is like you have enough wealth to sort of be above the middle class, but you're still not like top 1%, right? You know what I'm saying? And so
the 1% still looks at you like you
right,
are poor.
You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of D9 kind of falls into that category because one, it's sort of like as we know, there's a lot of networking opportunities in there, right? And so it's like once you belong, you kind of gain access to a lot of things that can elevate you into a certain class. But there's also a lot of respectability politics that has to come with it, right? I remember during when the Black Lives Matter movement was really at its climax and people were really taken to the streets. I remember certain D9 organizations telling their members they couldn't wear paraphernalia if they went out to protest, and to me that was kind of again something that I heavily criticized because when we look at our D9 organizations, we are possibly.
But they said don't wear your paraphernalia to go protest.
Right. And it's like when I look at D9 organizations, we are possibly the most organized entity of in terms of black people.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of resources and there's just a sheer number of people that belong to these organizations. And if we were to truly mobilize that for a truly revolutionary purpose, imagine what that could be.
We just had this conversation.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, and there's a lot of different there's been a lot of different organizations that I've looked at in that way, but particularly the D9, not only because of what we have, but also because the D9 has such a strong foundation amongst the young black people. And historically, young people, especially students, have been sort of the driving force behind a lot of revolutionary movements. When you look at, for example, the civil rights movement, right? It started with black elders that were boycotting during the Montgomery bus boycott and other things that they were doing. But when young people really came into it, they kind of brought that new life into it and carried it and took it to a different level. When you look across the globe at revolutionary movements that have really taken off, when young people come into them, right, that's when the new life comes into it and they really take it where it needs to go. And a lot of that has to do with young people and students particularly kind of being the most, in terms of responsibilities, being the most free group of people, in any collective. So with us having such a strong hold amongst young people and students in college, it's like, imagine if we were really using that potential for change that goes beyond just political and wealth aspirations, right? And a lot of organizations have, charitable initiatives, but charity and revolution are two different things.
Yeah.
Charity is like a band-aid to, a band-aid solution.
It's not solving the root cause.
Exactly.
To your point, revolution doesn't happen until there's pressure built up. Like, people gotta be like mad. Like some crazy stuff has to happen for somebody to decide to get cojones to be like, you know what, we're going to revolt because we're tired of it now. And unfortunately, we're too comfortable.
We're
Because
pacified.
that's another
we're
way
too
though.
We're
comfortable.
pacified.
Because if you
Mhm.
can, like, that's another way that it works against us. Because as we mentioned, like a lot of the people in the D9 is you are like toward you are leaders in society. You tend to
Mhm.
be have more opportunity, have more influence, and you have more resources. And at the same time, you have more opportunities to succeed within the system. So it's like that pressure doesn't build up because the people who are most equipped to lead a revolution are
Right.
succeeding within the system. They're also the people that are most invested in the system staying
Exactly.
intact. So then,
You don't want nothing to go against that because it's
yeah,
like, nah, I'm gonna lose the little bit of privilege
everything
I've
that I done
gained.
built up.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Then you turn around and you tell the people that are frustrated, hey, let's calm it down. You know, now you're sort of
You
you play
used
that
against it,
overseer
yeah.
role a little bit, right? To
Mhm.
where the system takes you and puts you in front of the frustrated people, and you're like, oh, let's calm it down. We can do this. We can do this a different way, right? And then but then things never change. You
Yeah,
know,
they incentivize to keep the system intact, and it
right?
just perpetuates. And it's not to say that it can't be leveraged, but we as members of the D9, like I mean, I ain't renounced my letters. I ain't got no plans to do that. I'm still 30. I'm still shimmy. So I'm not trying to. I'm not saying like yes, we're critical of a D9. We're critical of our brothers and sisters, but it's more so like let's let's expose people because a lot of times people don't even understand really how the system works.